blind artist that is rapping and for justice, hoping, girl, because you got to hold your breath for justice, to see justice before all fades to black. Yes, it's your girl Cadillac. Anyways, guys, I'm coming through March the 4th, 2026. I pray that you can see this because I just did a test run and it was all pixelated. So you most likely cannot see me nor hear me, but I'm gonna just do it. And if it doesn't go through, then I guess we have the next video to look forward to. All right. So the grandkids is gone. So I have the time alone to actually, get into stuff. So, y'all know, really, I'm so tired of trying to he sends out I do think the enemy sends out notifications whenever I go live because there will be interruption right off rip. It makes it very difficult to do this. This is almost team impossible to do. Number one, I go through so much spiritual warfare just trying to literally all I wanted was my family back together. Can't have that, right? So I wanted my fight for my family to be back together, to not be in vain, because I've spent 2.5 decades doing it, that I would rather it be for some good. Like if I can't free my husband, help me free somebody. And it's always the most. It's always an interruption. It's always bad Wi-Fi. It's always you get the best tape, but nothing records, or it does get out, and then people swear you down that you're just lying and supporting a criminal, and there's no way that wrongful convictions never happen. They're just keeping us safe. The good guys keeping us safe. They don't do that, and it's so aggravating that it really makes me want to walk away from this every single day. Like, majority of the time I've been posting, I fight with myself to keep going with this. It is not easy. It's almost like I wish I had any other purpose than this, but this is my purpose to fight for those wrongfully incarcerated. But it's so difficult. And it's not that it's difficult, it's that people make it impossible. Not only does the alleged justice system make it almost impossible to get justice, we who are actually the ones that allegedly are supposed to, we the people allegedly that's supposed to check the system when it's not working for us allegedly, we also make it almost impossible, right? So you got two people, you got us that upholding back every injustice that this alleged injustice system dishes out, and then you got the alleged injustice system itself that's dishing out injustice. So it's so difficult. It's hard to make any traction. It's hard to get any views. It's hard to anything. And it's like the roughest side of the mountain uphill battle that you would ever in your life want. Like I could literally free Willie before I could free my husband, a BLK man that's innocent. So it is a fight within self. My heart knows that it's wrong, and my heart wants to help, and my heart wants to free the wrongfully incarcerated. But my brain knows, that's cognitive dissonance. My brain knows how almost impossible this is because of the climate of the alleged justice system. It does not begin. Possibly at times it does, but because of the patterns and the ways that they do these things consistently that get the wrong results and they just go with it, it's just not conducive in this environment. But yet, it's hard for me to turn and look away. Once wrongful incarceration has hit your household, it's no longer you viewing a post and passing judgment on somebody that you have no idea if they're guilty or innocent, but because you don't know them, it's easier for you to pass the judgment that they're guilty. It's actually someone you love that you would lay down your life for, or it's yourself. That's really the only time you're going to wake up to this. But once you wake up, it's hard to look away and just let it keep allegedly happening every day, every single day, and just stay quiet about it because it doesn't concern you. And then that would make you look like a bad person. So rather than you look like a bad person, you have to put it off and say, no, it's not that I'm a bad person. I'm a good person. I uphold justice. I'm upholding justice. And if you did the crime, you should do the time. And then I asked the question, but what about if you didn't do the time? No, there's no way. They don't put innocent people in jail, but they do it on a daily. Girl. But yeah, it's very hard. But I have another channel. I am legally blind. I literally was trying to free my husband before I lose my full eyesight. That's why I say before it all fades to black. Most likely it's gonna fade to black before, or my husband's on the downslide of his wrongful conviction. So about 10 more years, I might have 10 more years of eyesight. So I may see that day. But I was trying to free him before, I lose my eyesight, right? So I have a legally blind and I'm an artist of all sorts. And if my husband were not wrongfully incarcerated, I can almost guarantee all the time, all the decades, everything that I put into fighting a impossible battle of freeing my husband would have been going into my art career. So it would have been something tangible, you know what I'm saying? So it took away from my art career to try to fight this impossible battle. A place that prides themselves on freedom and justice, allegedly, but does you can't find neither in this land, allegedly. So I always say, I just need to go over there. Why don't I draw some pretty pictures? And just, well, one reason I can't go live on my channels over there and I don't have no storage. So if it was a bit easier for me to just upload, this is the only channel that I have that is open for me to go live from a phone. So if I were able to, I probably would spend more time over there. But also, when you wake up every day and all you want is justice for your loved one, and that's at the top of your brain, before your feet hit the ground, it's on the top of your brain. It's hard to say, well, let me go create some art instead. So I have every plan of trying to build something other than this, but nothing has my heart the way this does. So before I go over to that channel, and I wasn't even going to post on this channel, but I see another wrongful conviction. But y'all tell me that they never happened. And there's no way my husband's wrongfully incarcerated because they don't just put the wrong person in prison. 12 jurors don't just find you guilty just to be mean. So this doesn't happen, right? But here's another story. Okay, so here it is. Two Virginia men were found innocent. Found not guilty. So I guess there's a difference there. Of Sussex County police officers, 1998 murder, yet still sentenced to life in prison. So now they are just getting out, and we're going to listen to, and I will review this video. Hopefully, I'm not too long winded. And I'm kind of tired. It's been Employee Appreciation Day. We did karaoke. Then we went bowling. They treated us like it was King's Bowling. They treated me like a king. It was so nice. So it's been a employee appreciation. So I had to work, but then we would play each day after work. They had a board game night tonight, and I was like, I'm gonna have to sit that out. But they got an event tomorrow. So I'm tired. I am good and tired. And after going bowling, check this out. I went to work. I went bowling, and upon getting home, my granddaughter wanted me to take her to the movies. So I took her to the movies to see the goat. So literally, I am tired. I am almost going to bed. But before I go on to bed, let's review this. Here we go. This is not my content. I am just reviewing this video for literary commentary and entertainment purposes only. People being wrongfully incarcerated, allegedly, is just for your entertainment. All right.
It's hard for somebody that ain't never really been in no trouble. And we got to sit here, and these people sit here and give us a capital murder charge for something we didn't even do. We get past that and turn right around and then put you in there for life.
A quarter century behind bars, but tonight the Waverly Two free and sharing their side of the story.
The interview you will see only on 8, coming 10
I
years
will
after
put
we
that
first learned they've been found not
this
guilty of
video
killing
in the description box.
a police officer, but ended up sentenced to life in prison anyway.
A president commuted Terence, Richardson, and Ferrone Claiborne's federal sentences.
So found not guilty, but still put in jail for life. And if I brought that to your attention, it would be some idiot saying, well, they shouldn't have never did what they did. It's gonna be some idiot out there saying that. Like, did you not listen to what the jail they just said? Not guilty, but still in jail for life.
Supported overturning the state felony. And of course, they're no longer in a cell, but they tell me they fear they'll never escape the dark cloud.
Okay, so number one, you get institutionalized. It's not natural being in prison, even though allegedly they want you to think. How could 13% of the population commit 50% of the crimes? So they want you to think it's natural for allegedly us to be in prison, but it's a very unnatural situation. So the person in prison, lots of time, 9 times out of 10, becomes institutionalized. So though you set the body free, you've incarcerated allegedly the mind already. It's going to be harder to break the mind free. Not saying you can't do it, but just because you let them out, look at the span. 1998. I was just talking to my daughter about this. This is where I get long-winded. I am in a class called the Zillennials. And this person, they look like they're about in my same age range. So when I was graduating high school, they were going off to prison, right? The world has completely changed within my lifespan, right? Because there's the old way that the world went, like the analog way, which was my parents and before. And then my child completely grew up in like a computer age, So we were smack dab in the middle. So you took them out of an analog world and you're releasing them into a digital world. And while being incarcerated, because incarceration is supposed to equal rehabilitation, but allegedly it doesn't. It is literally, allegedly shelving human life. No rehabilitation except for if the person chooses to strive to rehabilitate themselves on their own, right? So there's not many classes, it's not much of anything, which people will dispute that. Why should they get an education while they're in prison? They committed a crime, so they shouldn't be getting educated in prison. Do I have to break everything down for you? And even if I do break it down, you still don't understand, allegedly. The more they're educated when they come out, the less likely they are to reoffend. And against who? The people in the community, right? And go back to prison. They're sometimes they are just put back in prison because of violations or whatever. But many times they're put back in prison because they re-offended, right? But to reoffend means what? To commit another crime against who? Another victim, allegedly. So you're creating more victims, but you think it's to keep you safe. Why? Okay, it's to keep you safe, but it's also increasing the amount of victims. Does that even calculate, allegedly? Does that equate to one another? We're keeping you safe, but yet we're creating more victims, allegedly. But most still uphold this no matter what. And this is why there's no change, there's no reform. You really can't reform this. It's way too gone, but I don't even think it's too gone. I think it's created exactly the way it's working, and it's just working too well. It's working way too well for them to do any changes. And who pays? We pay for it. We pay for it. Yes, you, the good, law upstanding, law abiding citizen, allegedly pays for this.
Hanging over their heads since 1998.
98.
I felt betrayed. Like, how was this even possible?
Nearly 3 decades.
You know why you feel betrayed? Because you yourself believe in this system. So the person that is wrongfully incarcerated believed just as hard as the blind believers that defend whatever move they make on the board, right? Allegedly. So you're just as in shock. Like, how is this happening? This is not how it's supposed to go. This is not how we were taught it goes. I have rights, allegedly. They can't do that by law, allegedly.
Like you thrown straight into the lines then. You ain't never experienced none of this before.
Too many, baffled and distraught.
These people tried to kill us twice. Twice.
Does that hurt?
Contemplating how they ended up in handcuffs.
And for them to get out, most that are wrongfully incarcerated will not see freedom. Most will have to play out their wrongful convictions. Some wrongful convictions end in deletion. And some you just have to give up the best years of your life for. And then there are the small, just like them, small, minute few that get out of their wrongful convictions. But most times it will not take you no less than a couple decades of your life to get out of it. It's harder to get an innocent person out of prison than a guilty, allegedly.
A crime they're adamant they didn't commit.
We go in there as young men, we come out, we great. I got to stand in the mirror and look at this every day.
Terence, Richardson, and Ferrone Claiborne say they were shell-shocked when Sussex County prosecutors charged them with killing.
Wow. That's sad. And ain't nothing you could do. You can't get them people they like that. You took that. What you took is priceless. So let's say their names. Slow that down. Richardson and Claiborne. Because it matters. Terence Richardson and Ferrone Claiborne.
Police officer Alan Gibson during a struggle with Gibson's gun. But 17 months later.
So, who did the time for allegedly deleting the officer? If they did not delete the officer, but yet they were in prison for that reason, what happened to the person that actually deleted the officer? I can almost guarantee you they were still on the street committing more crimes, allegedly. So, this whole thing, how did it keep that community safe? How did that equal safety? Having the wrong person in prison, just like I told you the other day in the group. They was like, well, why don't we start by releasing the innocent? And someone said, oh, well, we should just release everybody then. Huh? How is keeping innocent people in prison? The mindset is because we don't truly know you're innocent, we should just keep you. But many people that are innocent, the evidence that would have exonerated them from the beginning, meaning they should have never been convicted, was already there and they seen it. But in a wrongful conviction, allegedly, the first thing to go is the exculpatory evidence. They take it out. And y'all know I liken that to a roadmap. I'm that zillennial. We used to go on road trips with road maps. And it's like me stopping at the little convenience store or whatever, them little, when you pull over to the side of the road and you rest station and you buy a map, but it got holes conveniently cut in it. But you want me to arrive to my destination, meaning verdict. And verdict means true. You want me to arrive to the truth, but you cut holes in my map. I might arrive to the truth, but if you don't want me to end up at my destination, when you cut out the road that I need to travel to get there, so you're going to take out the evidence that exonerates me, allegedly, and then you're going to present a one-sided case. And then the jury allegedly has nothing but that one-sided information. And how else could they come to a verdict but guilty? Because what exonerates the person you deleted, allegedly. So I don't know. I do feel like I feel like this is all in vain, but I don't know. Maybe somebody will allegedly wake up.
Number 1999, plea deals. For Claiborne, a misdemeanor in freedom at day. For Richardson, felony involuntary manslaughter, 5 years behind bars. There will be a lot of people watching this at home thinking, well, why plead guilty to something you know you didn't do?
I allowed the boy to skip.
I answered that in a short. A large amount of wrongful convictions, people actually do plead guilty. If you watch this channel, they got some tactics that they do to make you say whatever you need them. I mean, to make you say whatever they need you to say. And then also, allegedly, it's like a slot machine. You get out what you put in. There are many that cannot afford, most can't afford justice. Even you, the holier than thou that's sitting up high and looking down low and judging, most likely you couldn't afford true justice yourself. So when charges are brought up against you, because all they have to do is someone say, you did it, and they will bring up those charges, right? And it's up to you to pay, allegedly, to get out of the charges, like a bear trap. You got to pay to get out of that trap. If you lack the funds, they're not going to represent you, allegedly. They're going to give you that alleged lawyer. And when my husband got that lawyer, I was like, but dude, is you on defense or offense? What team you on? Because it seemed like he the one that secured the conviction. Marcello's own, provided by the court attorney. So if you lack the funds, you got to get out of it. It's basically like salvage how much of your life that you can. And it's nearly impossible to win. And it's more nearly impossible for a BLK man to win. So you lower your chances there. And if you don't have a lot of money, what other option you got to get out that trap, allegedly? Because your innocence ain't going to get you too far. So that's why a lot of people take those pleas. They're trying to see how much of their life they can salvage. And my husband, who is innocent, is sitting back wishing just took the plea. It was a 17-year plea, but to a 19-year-old man, 17 years is a whole lifetime. But now he has done 24 years and still has 10 to 12 to do. And Florida will get that time out of him. So it would have been better for him to, because we thought you could get justice. We thought if you bring it to the right person, we thought they have checks and balances. They're not going to let an innocent person go to prison. And if only we knew the truth. It's a trap door. You have to allegedly fall through the trap to actually know how it works, allegedly. But he would have been out right before our daughter was able to graduate high school. So he missed her first step, first word, kindergarten graduation, high school graduation. He would have got out about high school graduation, which means he would have not missed her college graduation, her tech school graduation, the birth of our grandchildren, our grandchildren's first steps and first words. See, he's missed generations now when it could have been 17 years of his life gone, and then he would have been free. He still would have been labeled convicted felon, but at least he would have been out those prison doors had he took the plea. What? Yes, he would have been saying he was guilty, but he would have had more of his life. Now, we're just hoping we both live long enough to see him come home. Like, innocence is worth a lot, but if innocence is gonna cost you your life, allegedly, you're gonna take the plea because you're trying to mitigate what is happening to you. Allegedly.
Even if you didn't do it, they gonna make somebody wear this case and right there, it's y'all. And you gonna get the death penalty. So what are we supposed to do?
Yeah, you take your innocent. If they had went on the court, went to trial, they would have found them guilty most likely, and then they would have been on D-roll and been deleted. Many people, allegedly innocent, have been deleted. Marcellus Williams, Troy Davis, wrongfully incarcerated, wrongfully deleted, took their life twice. Allegedly.
6 years to get out, so what would we be now? We wouldn't even be right here.
The potential
They
fate
would have been
awaiting them
gone.
at the time of their state pleas, Virginia's speedy death row executions, within 6 years on average, the fastest in the country. But in our Taking Action Team's review of court records, this letter from 9 months before those pleas states the Commonwealth's attorney was not pursuing the death penalty, and at least Richardson's
So they
lawyer knew
told.
it. Do you feel that
So they told them y'all are up against the D penalty, but they really weren't. So is that not allegedly forcing them to plea? Like literally, you in that bear trap. You're in that bear trap. Ain't no liquor. Y'all believe in justice. Justice ain't gonna show up. I'm telling you. You be waiting on justice. Ooh. And it never shows up.
is how weak their case actually was?
I used to think that justice really exists. Now I see that it exists only for the rich. It's your girl Cadillac.
I think it exemplified the fact they knew it wasn't us. Because if you thought that we actually
Best believe, allegedly, they be knowing you innocent. They really do. And they know who be guilty for real. And many times they let the guilty back on the streets to keep you safe, allegedly.
two black men actually killed white police officers, you going for that death penalty.
Yeah.
Did you know that that was not on the table?
He didn't tell us. Because he told us that day if you can get the death penalty.
Another reason for their pleas, their attorneys and state prosecutors recently testified that in 1999, they didn't know about other evidence that local and state police had, an eyewitness description, a photo lineup, and an anonymous tip, all pointing to a different suspect.
Y'all know what I say. Allegedly, wrongful convictions start with wrongful arrests.
David Chapel, which was the Commonwealth of China, I think he testified that he didn't know. He didn't have it. So he's prosecuting the case. And he didn't have it. It was impossible for us to have it.
Those pieces of evidence supported Officer Gibson's own descriptions before he died, one coming from a 9-year-old girl.
Dang. It said that the description that the officer that passed gave, I seen a man with dreads. And neither one had dreads.
So what she
They didn't fit the description. But they'll make that description fit, allegedly.
She jumps over this way to look.
She saw a, quote, fat man with dreadlocks, not a match for either of the so-called legal.
So why weren't they taken out as suspects? Where's the dreads? Now, one guy looked like he has braids. Not the same as dreads. Is that braids or is that a shortcut? That dude looked like he got his hair braided to the back. In no way looks like dreads. And neither one looked fat. Said a fat guy with dreads. That's not the description.
She gave a description that didn't fit me nor Terence. And not only that, they disregarded what the officer said, his dying declaration.
A declaration Officer Gibson made right here.
But yet they're doing it for the victim, allegedly. They be doing it in the name of the victim. And that's the first thing they want you to, well, what would the victim, how would the victim feel when they find out that their loved one was unalived, and instead of finding who did it, you stopped and you just made the pieces fit on an innocent person. And then you lied to them allegedly and told them that we got the person that unalived your loved one. So all while you're thinking you've gotten justice, a morsel of justice, you got screwed just like the other person. And they're off the hook. They're off the hook. And they're never on the hook for this. They don't have to pay no consequences for ruining all these different lives. And each wrongful conviction is not just you. The whole family's life of the person wrongfully incarcerated is ruined. The whole family's life of the person that is deleted and given the wrong justice, not given justice at all, is ruined. So you ruined two sides of the case. It would have been better to leave the case unsolved than to make up an answer, allegedly.
28 years ago in the woods next to the Waverly Village Apartments, that complex, a former hangout for the Waverly 2.
No further from maybe from here to the old air conditioning unit was a police dog. So if I was out here, why that police dog didn't come to me? He would have had my scent. That's what makes me mad.
That anger.
That's what they did to my husband. They alleged he ran. He got out the car and ran, but yet he was arrested right where the car was. Like, okay, the car is like right there. How much running could he have really done? But the reason they had to lie and say he ran is because they also lied and said he had a weapon that they don't have an account for. They don't even have it. So to explain the weapon they allegedly saw but can't find, the only way that can make sense, because I told you they just make the dots connect. The only way that could make sense is that he wasn't arrested there. He discarded the weapon before being arrested. Because if you tell them that he didn't run and he was arrested right here with the car, the first question is going to be, well, where's this weapon that you said he had? The only answer could be that he never had a weapon. But they wanted to charge him with weapon enhancements. Not only did they charge him with a fabricated robbery, allegedly, they charged him with armed robbery. They added a weapon, but they don't have the actual weapon. They don't have fingerprints. They don't have nothing that proves physically a weapon. So it's a hearsay weapon. But we want to charge weapon enhancements because weapon enhancements makes the time exponential. It doesn't add time, it makes the time times time. So we want to make it stick so we can give him as much time, but we don't have the actual physical evidence. So we have to make it up, but then we have to make up a lie as to why we don't actually have it, allegedly. So what he's explaining is how small this area was. How could he have been in that small area? The police was there with the dogs. The dogs would have been able to catch him in that small little area. So they had to make up a side story. That's why a lot of times, if you just see the actual scene of the alleged crime, which they tell the jurors, please don't visit the scene of the alleged crime, because they know it will open up so much more questions, more than they can answer. They want you to visualize it. They're painting, I'm an artist. They're painting an image in your head, and that's what they want you to visualize. They don't want you to necessarily visualize the truth or see the truth. You have to see the narrative.
Shortly after their 1999 state pleas, as federal prosecutors appeared with new drug charges, and again, charges for Gibson's murder.
They know for a fact that we didn't commit this. Right.
They went to trial this time in 2001, the federal jury finding them not.
And when they know you innocent, they're going to make it that much harder for you to get out, because they don't want you to get out to tell it. And most of the time, as you're pleading your innocence, 95% of people are not going to believe you. So they don't even have to really worry until people start believing you. By that time, everybody has gotten their promotions off of your conviction, and allegedly they're retired.
Of murder, but the drug charge, guilty. Then the judge executed a rare legal maneuver using their state guilty pleas to determine their federal sentences. Life with no parole. With no hope. until our 2017 8 News investigation when wrongful conviction attorney Jared Adams saw their case.
I didn't know they have actual wrongful conviction attorneys. Like, you really do need people that are willing to fight, but you're only going to get the fight that you can afford. And most people that this happened to, they're allegedly railroaded. They can't afford it. Wow.
It's important to me for a number of different reasons.
Wrongfully convicted himself, Adams argues law.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. He was already in there, so he knows how this works. Many times, those will be the people that will actually fight for you, those that have sat in that seat. Other than that, you law abiding alleged citizens, y'all are not going to fight for what's really right, allegedly.
Hid the evidence that could have cleared Richardson and Claiborne of everything. Over the years, garnering more
Hear that
support
again.
himself, Adams argues law enforcement hid the evidence that could have cleared Richardson and Claiborne of everything.
That is not far-fetched. That's exactly what they did in my husband's case. They deleted, allegedly, the surveillance cameras that could have proved he was not there. And then once they cut out that hole out the map, they replaced the hole with their testimony, their sworn testimony. It would have been better to, what's more reliable, an officer's testimony allegedly, or the physical surveillance camera where you can see what happened?
Years garnering more support to review their case.
During Christmas time, like, people were sending us cards from, like, United.
And what I don't understand, these cases, though they're different cases, different faces, but always has the same components to them. It's like they take the files and you could literally mix them all up and it would still be the same story. Their story could be Marcello's story. Marcello's story could be Marcellus' story. Marcellus' story could be Troy Davis' story. Like, literally, they're all interchangeable. It's the same playbook. It's the same. Oh, God. I just wish we cared.
England, Canada, all over the United States.
By early 2021, then Attorney General Mark Herring learned of their story and
they got their story out. This is why I created Project Reach the World. That's the only way a poor person's going to get justice. The people have to be aware that it happened. These cases are buried. They're shut and you're forgotten. You're closed off from the real world. Nobody knows you ever existed, let alone exist now. So you need media attention. And that's what I've been trying from the time that social media was invented, because I've been fighting my husband's wrongful conviction since before social media ever existed. And when they created social media, guess what? I was on MySpace advocating free Marcello. I was called stupid almost every day of my life. I just support criminals. I can't find nobody free, so I'm desperate, allegedly. And I don't know. People just do not want to hear this. Don't want to see it. Don't even want to know that it's happening. But it's a bear trap out there.
Petition for a writ of actual innocence to overturn his plea, a process Claiborne's misdemeanor plea isn't eligible for. But Herring's team's review did find, quote, no rational fact finder would have found Richardson guilty had all the evidence been presented. Then Jason Miyares won the AG race and reversed that position.
It's 10,000 pages to this case. There's no way you did it in 29 days.
Without the state support, Richardson has faced an uphill battle across various state courts for the past 4 years.
Well, we got to keep on wearing the title of a cop killer. living in fear, coming home and you know, still being uneasy because of, you know, the title.
Back at the Supreme Court last month, they're now
You know how
see if
people
Richardson
love
will get one last
officers.
opportunity to make his case
That's
there.
one of the
We get
worst
walk
things
out
to
this
be
morning, not
labeled.
only with hope, we get to walk out with the freed men behind us.
But because last year, former President Joe Biden commuted their life sentences for the drug convictions, they are at least home. They say they're working constantly to get readjusted.
And we had to flip on the pages.
Wow. But that's not usual. So they're actually blessed. You know, even my husband with a 40-year wrongful conviction for an alleged robbery of $60, because once they found out my husband had cashed his check and had $60 in his pocket, they gave the sworn affidavits, the good, upstanding, law abiding citizen officers allegedly gave back the sworn statements and told them to here cross out 80. Y'all said he robbed y'all of $80, but he doesn't even have $80. So you have to cross that out and put in 60 so that it can align and we can then charge him with robbery. And then we're going to create this fabricated weapon that we never are going to produce. We just say it was there. And because we have that reputation of being a good, upstanding, law abiding citizen that would never lie, it's going to stick. Oh boy, this is so aggravating. But even my husband is truly blessed to only have 40 years. And that's exactly what that judge said. I'm going to be lenient on him. I want to give him life, but I will only give him 40 years like that was a vacation. But knowing what I know now, he would have gave him life, wouldn't bat an eye. So with life, life means life. There's no parole here in Florida. Life means life. And they gave life out so zealous. And now we have an aging population in prison that my alleged tax dollars and your alleged tax dollars are going into housing elderly, feeble, old men that could not commit a crime if they tried to. And they're taking up space for people out on the street that do need to be incarcerated. So you're using the resources in the wrong area, but all in the name of keeping you safe, allegedly. So you're here to keep me safe, right? There's an old guy that is disabled, can't hardly move. He has done a lot of time, a whole heap of darn time. And remember, prisons are to critical capacity, right? But there's this young buck out here that's wilding, committed all these crimes, but yet we don't have space to incarcerate him. So we give him a slap on the wrist. Which one is actually keeping you safe, allegedly? Keeping the old guy in there that's done his time in somebody else's time and times time.
Hanging out together and with family, writing more books like the ones they wrote together in prison, even designing a clothing line. And they keep praying
That's
Richardson is
nice.
granted his writ of actual innocence so they might both be cleared one day.
And you know what? It's going to be so much easier for them to fight. It's hard as jail to fight for your innocence behind bars. That's why you have to have people fight for you. That's why I have been Marcello's arms and legs fighting for his innocence. But if Marcello was actually out here himself and free, it would be far easier for him to fight for his own freedom. So their battle should get a tad bit easier by them now being free and able to fight from this side.
And whoever else is in position to help us go back and look at what Mark Hearn and their integrity unit did. They took months to go back and investigate. They went and talked to people.
And they keep praying
Did it
Richardson is
say
granted his writ of actual innocence so they might both be cleared one day.
I'm reaching out to Jay Jones and whoever else is in position to help us.
Go back and look at what Mark Hearn and their integrity unit did.
yes, conviction integrity unit? Every county that sentences people should actually have one, but they don't have them everywhere. They actually go back and look at this is what they don't like, allegedly. That's like that alleged example I gave you of Dahmer allegedly not wanting you to see what's in his freezer. Gonna find some, you might find some bodies, allegedly. Well, if you check these cases, you allegedly might find some innocent bodies. And we definitely don't want you to see what we've done, allegedly. So they don't like allegedly. And I have to keep saying alleged. I'm lying anyway. Remember, I'm just up here supporting criminals. But so take everything that I'm saying with a grain of salt. All just my opinions and my viewpoints, right? But that's why they don't want these cases back open. They know what you're going to find. So a conviction integrity unit opened their case and looked and seen all of this. Meaning, before the case even closed, they seen all of this. So why do you have to fight like jail to open the case back up?
Investigate. They went and talked to people. Are you saying that they was wrong?
Do you feel optimistic you're going to get the outcome you want eventually?
Well,
Eventually.
God's will.
Eventually. And I don't know how long that journey is.
Takes a lifetime, maybe two.
God knows.
They are in part eager to get help from Attorney General Jones because when he was a state delegate, he was critical of then AG Mark Herring's handling of the case. His office says he cannot comment now until the Supreme Court decides.
And the people that did this to them, allegedly, they didn't do it to just them. It's not a freak of nature. They probably had a long track record. So they don't want this to overturn because then this is the catalyst that causes so many other overturns. So we'd rather just keep your innocent in prison and keep you, keep this case closed than to let the truth allegedly actually out and then have all this embarrassment of what we've done that we knew we did, allegedly.
But 4 years ago, he said both men deserved a full review of their case. That is somewhat similar to what we heard in 2020 from Officer Gibson's daughter, C0nviction. At the time, she sent us a statement.
Poor girl. So she didn't really get justice for her father. And now, after thinking you did, it's like reopening the wound. Reopening the wound. Do you know how hard it is to heal from that? From your parent being unalive from negligence? But then to find out, oh, I thought I got justice. But all you did was ruin somebody else's life and didn't even give me justice, allegedly. And you did it to keep us safe.
I want the persons responsible for my father's murder to be held fully accountable for their actions. If that is not Terence.
So they've been out for 30 years after unaliving her father. Over 30 years.
I want justice done for them, and it must not stop there. However, it's important to note that last year she did publicly post on social media saying she does believe the Waverly 2 killed her father. I did try multiple ways to reach out to her and the Gibson family to understand how they're feeling about this now, and I haven't heard back yet.
Two things strike me in watching that piece. One, this is a very emotional time for both of them.
Yes. And it is because they've missed so much with their families, right? And they're kind of reminded about that every day.
Yep. My husband was snatched He was wrongfully arrested when our daughter was 2 months old, been wrongfully incarcerated since she was 9 months old, and then she had to visit her dad through a several-inch thick glass. I did draw that, where she was jumping at that glass and wondering, like, why won't daddy get me? From then to now, we are grandparents. We raised our daughter through prison visits all over the backwoods of Florida, off in the deep country woods, and through over expensive phone calls and letter writing, which is not a thing anymore, to now our grandchildren, and will not be freed from his wrongful conviction until our 1 and 3-year-old grandchild is almost 16 and 14 years old. So he's missing most of their lives as well too, for something that not only he did not do, it is a fabricated crime. Allegedly means it never happened. And it was all to keep you safe. And my tax dollars allegedly is funding this.
And they were really adamant that they wanted to talk about why they pleaded guilty. A lot of people may not know this, but even for people who are exonerated by
And
guilt,
you should know this. You should know this.
evidence, at least 10 to 20% of those people pleaded guilty. So we do see people plead guilty to things that they did.
That's all allegedly Marcello's lawyer was trying to get him to do, was take the plea. He wasn't there to defend him at all. That's all they're there for, allegedly, is to try to convince you over everything to please just take the plea. And if you allegedly look like you're going to take the plea, they'll work you a deal, allegedly. You may not get as much time, but they under no circumstance want you to take this to trial. And though you think, oh, allegedly they don't have nothing on me, they can't convict me. They have nothing in my husband's case. And they got that conviction. It will stick, allegedly. It will. It will. And you'll be wishing you can go back and redo it.
Commit. What they want the state to determine is that that's them as well.
Second thing that struck me is though they are walking around right now outside of prison, they are free, but they don't feel free.
No, in addition to...
I say that all the time. There are levels to freedom, allegedly. They now have a higher level of freedom, but they're not completely free, allegedly.
That they're still under, they just feel like this dark cloud follows them everywhere they go. Their supporters believe them, but they feel like they're still kind of up against the wall. And frankly,
and society and the people that make these laws, that vote on these laws, they're never going to believe them. They believe the narrative that's always given. So it's going to still be an uphill battle, but at least they're battling from the outside now.
Even if the state overturns the plea, whether that will change hearts and minds for everyone.
That's a harder thing to do.
Yeah. Well, for our full coverage of this story, you can scan this QR code here. It will take you to our landing page with complete coverage from start to finish at WRIC.com. Welcome to English.
I'm going to screenshot that so I can go back, because they said they've been covering this story for over 10 years. I know I did not continue. I wanted to dig more into Tyra Patterson's wrongful conviction story, so I will be listening to some more videos while I'm drawing. I was working on 1250 podcast, Project Reach the World. I have a great mental block because I feel like Project Reach the World, I haven't even reached my own backyard, so forget the world. So I get really like unmotivated to continue. but I'm gonna try. So after this, I'm gonna set up, probably get me something to eat, and then go ahead and finish 1250 podcast drawing while listening to some more Tyra Patterson wrongful conviction story. All right, guys. This makes what, 34? I think number 34 of wrongful conviction stories I've covered. Yeah, I keep saying I'm going to start doing these every day. All right. It's your girl Cadillac. And if I did, I still could not cover everyone that's wrongfully incarcerated story. All right. Stay as free as you can. It's your girl Cadillac.